Hello, everyone. This is Lark,
And Kimberly.
and it's auto asphyxiation. I did it in reverse this time. You see, I'm a very talented person. I can do all kinds of things. I can say things in reverse. Anyway, today we are talking about Jack. I want to figure out a way to like put that game. Remember that game, You Don't Know Jack?
Yes.
I think it was a game called You Don't Know Jack or something. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, it was
Um,
a game show, I think, on Comedy Central. You don't know Jack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was. Okay. I'm kind of like, I'm like, is that a game? Was it a board game or was it a video game? I don't know. But the thing is that both of us, Kimberly and I, are on the left. And a lot of times we don't really know about the Republican candidates. Not like we don't know, not like we're ignorant of them, but for a long time was very much like the Democrat and Republican Party, they're just a duopoly, and really the Democrats are worse. And you know what? We are learning. I think I'm learning. I don't know about you, but I think I'm learning. I think the Republicans are quite a bit worse right now, at least.
I think it's unfolding before our eyes in real time.
I was like, whoa, I guess anyway. Um, as I work for the AP, Associated Press, as a stringer, one of my jobs is covering the New Jersey elections. And one of the most terrifying elections that I had to cover was in 2021 when Phil Murphy and Jack Cittarelli were running for office. I thought, I don't know why I did this because I did this before. I was under this strange impression that Phil Murphy had this. Like he had this election. I wasn't even thinking, kind of like with Hillary and Trump. I thought, oh, but that time I was in LA and I was like, there's no way. Well, yeah. So I was like, okay, Phil Murphy and Jack, and I was like, there's. I just thought it was kind of a anyway. Turns out here was the results for the 2021 New Jersey gubernatorial election. Phil Murphy got 1,211,457 votes, and Jack Cittarelli got 1,100,992 that one sorry 1,192,017 votes. So that's 50.03% to 49.22%. It was terrifying. I mean, imagine had that had happened. Kimberly, imagine.
I shudder to think.
Exactly. I mean, and the thing is that I think one of the things that we looked at is that we're of that age that we have some people that are actually old enough to have children that vote. I mean, which is weird because I'm like 25, but we are old enough to have friends that have children who vote. And I know a lot of us, we were talking about, like, they would talk about, like, the Democratic Party, don't get trapped. They're the same. They're, neoliberals, et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought this would translate, and I think we all thought this would translate into a younger demographic of voters that voted more, independently, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll use chaos theory. In chaos theory, the most organized faction will be what people will be attracted to. And apparently the fascists were very organized, and white young men under 30 voted for Trump. Overwhelmingly, scarily so. And young Latino men were split between the two candidates. Of course, black guys did not participate in that. They were Harris camp. Even though they tried to people, I remember it doesn't really matter, but I remember they were trying to go like, well, maybe black men. I'm like, no, no, black men, no, no. Let's not even put them in this conversation. I'm going to retract the black man conversation because they did not vote for it. It wasn't even close. Okay, but young white men under 30 overwhelmingly voted for Trump. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe we should talk about the Republican Party and talk about all the interesting things that they do. So with that, I'm just gonna like talk about Jack and given his bio. Um, his name is Giacchino Michael Jack Cittarelli. So he goes by Jack as his nickname. Born in 61. He's a member of the Republican Party. He was born in Somerset, County. I'm probably messing up all these names, right, Kimberly?
No, you're doing okay.
I couldn't even say Murphy right. Okay. And I'm like, he was apparently in the assembly and he was in the assembly and he's run for governor. Apparently, this is the third time he's run for governor. He's never say die, never say quit. And I mean, do you feel like it's important that we talk about the GOP nominee? I mean, what do you think?
I do think that it's important because I don't think that there's enough focus on the damage that the GOP can bring to New Jersey if they get elected. Jack has been fully endorsed by Trump. So that in and of itself is dangerous. And the threat of MAGA infiltrating the government in New Jersey and overtaking our public schools, public services, public transit systems, healthcare is terrifying to say the least.
I know that he's out of NewJersey.com. He said, what did he say? Oh, he said day one, he would replace the entire state board of education. School districts should never cut parents out from decisions about their children. And so essentially, they would restrict school officials and teachers. I mean, he's going to replace the school district. Okay, I'll say that. He's going to replace the school district. He is going to remove LGBTQ curriculum from the schools. He is, I mean, it's just going to be, we already have children, transgender children who are harming themselves, who are committing suicide, just because they don't feel supported by this administration and by the institution, and they understand when you roll back policies like what that means. I mean, the thing is, New Jersey is the only state what was the first state to have an LGBTQ curriculum.
Yes. Yes. And let's talk about the fear mongering that Jack has been doing. So this is a direct quote from Jack at his rally at the Tactical Training Center gun store in Flemington, New Jersey. Um, I feel lucky. Our kids, they're about 20 years old, and I don't have to deal with what you're dealing with right now. When I'm governor, you won't have to deal with it, but we don't teach gender ID, sexual orientation to kindergartners. In the sixth grade, we don't teach sodomy, and we're going to push back on the LGBTQ curriculum. It goes too far. So to me, this fear mongering is very reminiscent of the same fear mongering that was drummed up during the fight for marriage equality. And I would venture to say it's probably very reminiscent of the same fear mongering that occurred during the fight for interracial marriage equality. I was not alive then, so I can't speak on it, but like these are old, tired things that they continue to bring up time and time again. From Insider New Jersey and the pilot program for Garden State Equality and Make It Better for Youth, the LGBTQ inclusive curriculum bill requires boards of education to include instruction and adopt instructional materials that accurately portray the political, economic, and social contributions of LGBTQ individuals. Further, I went and looked into East Orange's Board of Education curriculum guidance. We see that this curriculum is primarily taught to middle and high schoolers, and it focuses on history of these Americans, the history of these Americans. I want to remind Jack that LGBTQ history is American history, just as Black history is American history, disabled history is American history. These historic fights for justice mirror America's own revolution against the British, and they deserve to be taught and shared. The fear mongering tactics do nothing but perpetuate hateful stereotypes and dehumanize. No one has married any horses. I said this to you the other day. I remember during the marriage equality fight, everybody on the right was saying that, oh, if they allow this, what's next? People are going to be marrying their horses. I still have not been to a human horse wedding, and it kind of disappoints me because I was looking forward to it. So really, like, stop it. Like,
No,
Stop.
he should really stop. And it's to me it's just wild, and it's very disturbing just because this is the kind of thing, and if people kind of go, oh well, this is what I feel. I feel that they want to take us back to they want to take us back to antebellum. I can't see them stopping with I can't see them stopping with same-sex marriage. I can't see them. I can see them going all the way back and going, okay, well, you can't marry a person who is not documented. You can't marry a person who's a different race than you. You mean if people kind of go like, oh, that's wild. But what's happening right now? We're having people who are getting kidnapped. So getting kidnapped and put into camps to do what? So this whole like, oh, it could never happen here. Clearly, they are using fear mongering tactics, like you said, using statements like biological males, biological females, excluding transgender athletes. It is, it's really, to me, it's very, very disturbing. And is this a person that didn't even like Trump? He said he didn't like Trump. He said he was not a fan of his. And just like JD Vance, he's a person that flips back and forth, whatever will benefit him, whatever he needs to say in order to win. And this is why I think he's much more conservative than he is letting on. He's making it seem like he's reasonable, like, oh, I wouldn't be for conversion therapy. And I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I believe once he gets in office, whatever Trump wants, he will do. He will be for. He will not have a problem with it. He aligns with Trump in regards to like the federal anti-DEI, anti-women, anti-queer policies. He wants to ban DEI in the public and private sectors. I want to ask him what he feels about Italian Americans at CUNY, where they at one point they did get affirmative action, when everybody else did at CUNY, including CUNY Law School. And removal of gender neutral bathrooms, removal of protection for trans inmates. This is just, and then banning pronouns in email signatures. I mean, this is just an all-out attack on the LGBTQ community, specifically the transgender community, which is one of the most marginalized communities within the LGBTQ community.
Well, and let's talk about his voting record because his voting record supports a far right extremist agenda. He has, in his assembly years, he has voted against same sex marriage. He voted against gender marker changers. His ideologies of trans women or biological males, they really display how very little he understands of genetics, chromosomes, basic science, empathy, compassion, and others' faith. Trans people, abortion, these are things that Christians despise, and they believe that that should apply to everybody. I'm not a Christian. You're not a Christian. These things do not apply to me. I am a Jew. In Judaism, the life of the mother is protected until that baby takes its first breath. That baby is, by Jewish law, not considered human until it takes its first breath. I know that sounds awful and horrible, but that's,
No, it doesn't sound
it,
awful and horrible. It sounds like it makes sense. It's giving autonomy to women. We're not just vessels for like, create labor. We
yeah,
are actually we matter.
we matter. And that, and in the Talmud recognizes six different genders, two of which are not human. So Christian ideologies and this right-wing extremism does not apply to every faith. And right-wing Christians need to stop assuming that it does. His alignment with Trump and his anti-women, anti-queer policies are very, very dangerous for New Jersey.
They're very dangerous for New Jersey. And I mean, I even think about in regards to like his policies in regards to our transit system, our public libraries and things such as that. I mean, he he tries to act reasonable when it comes to transit, and that's the whole thing. He's very, it's very much like what we call it the 1990s playbook, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually okay with transit, but it needs to be efficient." And as we know in neoliberalism, when something is efficient, that's their sneaky way of going, "Oh yeah, the free market, deregulation, privatization, that's the most efficient way in order to so we need to cut public services and give it over to the private industry and privatization and austerity. These are all ways and methods they use in order to take away the safety net, whether it be transit, whether it be libraries, whether it be schools. I mean, the thing is that what a lot of these right-wing people want to do is they want a ignorant population that is not educated, that doesn't have access to books, that that is that is essentially maybe living in a company town where their job is connected to their housing. These are, this is the kind of stuff that, this is the kind of stuff that people like Jack will bring to New Jersey. And it's just horrifying. I mean, health access, planning on, in addition to getting rid of and dismantling LGBTQ inclusive community, he plans on, getting rid of the curriculum about bullying, mental health, and this is really shocking because a lot of these things are going to hurt not only cities like New Jersey and Newark and Jersey City, which are predominantly people of color, Black or Latinx or Latin, but it's going to also hurt poor women across New Jersey. Unpartnered women across New Jersey are going to suffer because of this. And even though New Jersey is 95% urban, we do have a 5% rural place. And what's going to happen to those people? Because the thing is that our state is so dense that our rural population probably is as big as Rhode Island. Or Vermont. I mean, and New Jersey has also been like a safe haven for reproductive care, and he would take away the funds for abortion. I mean, I'm pretty sure he is. Oh yes, he is anti-abortion.
Yes, yeah, he is anti-abortion, and I just want to say that in 2025, New Jersey cannot be forced back into the dark ages like Texas and Georgia have been, where women cannot even get care for miscarriages and are forced to be incubators for fetuses.
That is just terrifying. I mean, and the thing is that while he's like, I'm okay for people to get an abortion at 20 weeks, but here's the thing. Planned Parenthood gives him a 20% rating. And New Jersey's Right to Life gives him a score of 75%. So that should tell you he may say one thing, but his voting record says something completely different. And I feel like that is terrifying. In regards to the American Conservative Union, they gave him a 75% rating. ACLU gives him a 44% rating in regards to undocumented immigrants. And as of the problems that we're having now, I shudder to think what would happen if we ended up with a Republican. Not only that, I'm not even say Republican. Jack is like, well, he's essentially signed on to fascism. And what happens to our undocumented people? And here's the thing: it's like you do not even need to be undocumented. You could just be Latino. You could just look Latino. I've thought about myself just kind of like walking around and I kind of go, well, what if, it's people don't realize and they think, oh, she's Puerto Rican or she's Dominican and just pick me up because they've run out, they need a quota close enough.
I I've been look, you know how pale I am. I have a 13 tattooed on my wrist and I am very self-conscious of it of late. Like I'm very self-conscious of it. I always have a bracelet or something over it because they're using the most arbitrary things to pick people up and take them away. So and our state protections, and New Jersey is a sanctuary state for so many different kinds of people. Our state protections are lifelines for people in this ridiculous flurry of executive orders banning DEI, banning pronouns, pardoning anti-abortion extremists. uh, New Jersey has many different kinds of people, and it's a better place for it. Seeing the changes in the state and the injection of culture and history throughout New Jersey in my own lifetime has made me even more happy and proud to be here. I have seen progress happen here. Uh, it can all come to an abrupt end, as we are seeing everywhere right now.
I and I think about in regards to all these executive orders that Trump put out, ordering a freeze on litigations involving civil rights cases and investigation, restricted health and science officials from communicating with colleagues in the public, ending inclusiveness in the private and public sectors. It's just an endless disband the White House Gender Policy Council. It's 36 orders that will impact women, erasing gender identification in the federal government. It is just, and here in the executive orders, you can't, it has to go through Congress in order for it to stick, in order for these things to pass. But the thing is that do fascists follow the rules?
No.
And I don't want people to be discouraged and go, well, then it doesn't matter. It does still matter. We still matters. The voting still does matter. But we need to at least give ourselves a fighting chance. If we have Jack in the in Trenton, what rights will we have? How will we be able to defend ourselves against a fascist a federal government, or I should say Trump. I don't want because I don't want this. It's not even about like, oh, the federal government, because this is how we got here in the first place. Oh, everybody's the same. The federal government is evil. So who cares who gets in office? Clearly, all these things like matter, and also before you make a point, I want to say he's also so for suburbia, and as you know, my issues with suburbia and how it traps women and how he doesn't want to build around, he doesn't want to build anything, and these things are really this is going to make it so that housing is more expensive. We talk about the fact that, oh, I want to be able to our taxes are so high, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if you can't build apartments, if you don't build things so that we can expand the tax base, yes, if you have a house, you're going to have to pay more taxes because all of these things cost money. And no, people aren't going to let you take away their personal school district that exists because of racism. And that's the whole thing. It's just really funny. It's like, well, you want to save money, you could just make Essex one school district, you could just make Bergen one school district, but they don't want to do that. No, they just want to remove the schools completely. They're always playing games. They're always talking out of two sides of their mouth. They do not actually care about, this is not about the budget. We see by how the debt ceiling is being raised higher and higher under President Trump, and it was during his first term. So this is not about efficiency. This is not about saving anybody or being fiscally responsible. This is about power. How can I use my office in order to oppress people, in order to become part of one of the hegemony's henchmen? This is what's happening here, and Jack is, he's willing to sell his soul and sell out New Jersey in order to have a little bit of power, the power that he's wanted for running for three times running for governor. And he wants this badly.
And that's exactly what you said. I want to know personally, like, what has Trump promised Jack? Like, because he didn't like him initially. And it's very obviously that Trump doesn't really like him. Trump was in New Jersey at his golf resort when he phoned into Jack's like campaign rally. Like, come on, like that is the laziest thing. Like, that proves to me that he doesn't like you. What has he promised you? Why ruin New Jersey for Trump? Is it worth your own Nuremberg trial, Jack?
That is a very good question. And I think, I think that people who are kind of on the fence in regards to Mickey, Sherrill, I want you to really understand how close the last election was. And I want when you send things around, when you send items around regarding your friends, regarding ICE, I want you to understand we have a choice right now. We have a choice on what kind of support we want to give our undocumented neighbors and friends, our Latino neighbors and friends, our our women friends, our transgender friends. We have a choice of what we want to, because clearly what's happening now was not what was happening before. When I was, when I go places is when you say, oh, if ICE comes, this is what you do. That wasn't happening before. My friends who said they just couldn't vote for Harris, now a lot of them are talking about leaving the country. If it was the same, why do you leave the country
That must be
last year?
so nice. What a privilege for you to have sat on your hands during a crucial election and now you're just going to pack up and go. That must be so very nice for you. That really makes me like angry. Like it really does because my husband and I talked about leaving the United States. We both have ties to Irish citizenship that we could potentially apply for. But my husband, who served in the Navy and is not proud of his service, mind you, my husband turned around at me one night and he said, "You know what?" He was like, "Fuck that." He was like, "I served for this country, and they're not going to take that away from me." He's like, "I served for the idea of America. And the idea of America is worth believing in and is worth staying here and fighting for. And I'm going to do that." And I think for somebody who's been so wounded by this country, as my husband has been, and so abused and spat out by the military, for him to turn down an opportunity to get out of here and say, "No, you know what? I'm going to fight." I think that takes a lot of strength and a lot of bravery to do that. And I think it's really an enormous privilege right now to just kind of peace out and leave when there are so many that are going to be affected that you could potentially be helping if you're able bodied enough to do so.
And I feel that to say it so publicly, oh, I'm going to leave or I'm gone now, we could be fighting for a better, a better, a reimagined United States, the United States that we want to have. We could have, but the thing is that we need to believe that that can happen. We need to believe that that can happen. We need to believe that we can um, have a cooperative community. We have to believe that we can have progressive taxes rather than regressive taxes. We have to believe that, we could do community benefit agreements so that when we do build out our cities, that people are not pushed out. We don't have to accept business as usual. Like just because, we are voting for, well, we're saying, okay, vote for Sherrill. It doesn't mean we can't fight for better policies. But the thing is that we need to have a person in office who's willing to have a conversation with us. And I don't think Jack is going to do that. I think Jack is going to be very well. I remember I read something that stated he wanted to fine people for cursing. Man, we would. That's wild that you $500 per curse word for the public. So this is the kind of person
In
that
New
we
Jersey?
have in New Jersey. I mean that would raise an amazing amount of money. I don't know if double parking or or cursing, which would be um which would be the more make the most money. But with that, we're gonna get ready to wrap up this conversation. I hope we gave you guys a lot to think about in regards to who Jack is and what he would bring if he were to get in office. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Kimberly?
Okay. I think we need to encourage our listeners to defend our inclusive spaces like public libraries. Fascists come for public learning centers first, like libraries. Get involved and pay attention to elections. Fascists like to get elected to local school boards and small city councils to spread their message. And you must think of fascism like a virus, and like a virus, it must be eradicated. And do not acquiesce in advance.
And with that, we are going to wrap it up. And thank you all so much for listening. And please subscribe.